All right. Here we go, folks. Hey, I want to thank you in advance for joining this session. I've been doing these sessions about using Lean Six Sigma and AI and other process improvement methodologies, right? Really taking advantage of AI, right? We know AI is here. And just think about it. It's like having an expert consultant right on your shoulder, helping you and whispering into your ear, right? While some people are very concerned about using AI, we all should be, but remember, humans are fallible as well. So there's so much concern about AI going off the rails and doing something differently and stealing your data. Remember, employees can do the same way. I don't think AI would be as invictive as as awful as an aggravated employee who might take your data and run with it, but there's always that chance, right? So remember, there's risks to doing everything. In the previous session, I talked about how to write a problem statement or how to analyze a problem statement. I gave you an example of what a good prompt looks like and a crappy prompt, right? That's one of the things we hear. These prompts, I tried using AI, it doesn't give me the answers I want. It can't read your mind, right? But you can teach it and learn how to write great prompts, and you'll be much better off, right? And I demonstrated that. So here's what we're going to do. Today, I'm going to cover how to use ChatGPT to brainstorm and create a simple tool, a fishbone diagram of potential causes or root causes to a particular problem. Right? We're all thinking about problems. People say will come to us with, "I have a problem doing this. This isn't working," and we know that people are bad critical. We know for the most part. Let's be honest. People are poor critical thinkers. People are poor complex problem solvers, and we're dealing with poorer and poorer data literacy. Right? So we can use Chat GPT to get us up and going. Right? To understand that. If you stick around to the end, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you an example of how to use Chat GPT within Google Sheets, right? And how, instead of remembering how to use all these crazy formulas, right? We all love the formulas. We're all familiar with coding formulas into Excel and hoping to get the right answer, but how we can use the semantic language associated with Chat GPT to get those answers. And then after that, if you're a strategy consultant or if you're a consultant and you're selling business, I'm going to show you how I wrote a prompt and a program that can do a strategic assessment of an industry. So, for instance, let's say if you're consulting in the gas and oil industry on a particular process, right? It would be nice if you can, go ahead in advance, do a little homework before you make a proposal to a client or something to those lines, right? So if you're a consultant and you're bidding on services, you're going to want to see how to use this um, strategy bot to at least give you an idea of what's taking place around you, right? So let's do this before we jump into it. And again, at the end, I'm going to cover how to use. I'm going to show you an example of how to use Chat GPT within a Google Sheet to do analysis. And then what we're going to do right now is I'm going to do a little quick review. I'm going to get back to that problem statement, right? How we use Chat GPT to analyze a problem statement. Remember, we're dealing with a lot of folks that we deal with, right? We're experts in this and writing problem statements and getting to the core of things and never inferring a cause nor solution, so we can think more broadly about the possible root causes and not be steered in the direction. And then we're going to say, okay, I'm having difficulty brainstorming ideas. Help me get started at least, right? And Chat GPT is going to do that. So it's going to brainstorm a bunch of potential causes using the Fishbone framework. And then I'm going to show you again in Google Sheets how you can write a simple prompt to analyze data and forget about writing all those formulas that you may have done so in the past. And then I'm going to show you a strategy bot that I wrote. Everyone, if you're a consultant, an independent, or regardless, if as an independent contributor in an organization, if you don't have a subscription to one of these large language models, shame on you. The workforce is going to be the people that are going to be employable are the ones that have accepted and are using AI to improve their productivity. If you're going to be a laggard and a wait and see, you're going to be waiting and seeing from your home watching TV. So I'll make sure you do that, and I'm going to show you. So embrace it. That's what I'm saying. Embrace this. Everyone needs to know how to use these tools, right? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go into Chat GPT, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly review, create a prompt here. I'm going to copy and paste a prompt in here to analyze a problem statement. So let's do that. I'm going to share my screen. Let me share my screen with you. I'm going to share. Great. Right. So you see that screen right now, right? We all see that screen. Let me get myself out of the way, right? I want to make sure I'm out of the way, right? So here we have this Chat GPT, and make sure, I'm telling you, you have to use this if you're going to continue to be employable in the future. You need to know how to do this, right? So here, remember I said let's do this. We'll say analyze the following problem statement and make recommendations for improvement, right? And I'm just going to put a semicolon there. And here's this, and here is right here. You can see is this problem statement, right? Remember, when we talked about a problem statement, we, as problem solvers and great critical thinkers, know we should never infer a cause nor solution, right? We, as complex problem solvers, know that there's certain questions we need to ask to make sure we're getting the right stuff done. So let's have Chat GPT analyze this for us, right? So we're going to ask it to analyze that problem statement, and voila, it's off to the races, and it's given us some strengths of the problem statement. It's assessing it, and it's going to give us a recommendation. And this is just Chat GPT on its own. Now, the unfair advantage I have when I'm using this prompt is that I have memory turned on. So Chat GPT knows a little bit about me. I've paid for the prescription, and I have it set up so it knows a little bit about me. So your results are, of course, are going to differ, right? So here it tells us quantitative. Is it quantitative? Yep. The 22%. That seems to be a good thing, right? It says we want to focus on the key issue. Identifies a specific problem related to the changes approved. Root cause. It doesn't have a cause or assumption, which is okay, right? So ChatGPT is already saying, hey, you need to have a cause in here, right? That's acting as if we know what the problem is. And granted, in some environments, you're going to have a problem, and you're not really going to know the root cause, right? So I'm not a fan of having this in there. Impact on stakeholders, the consequences of the problem aren't clear, right? Sometimes if you have a good idea of what the problem is and the consequences, you might want to take care of that. So that's then it made recommendations for improvement, and then of course it's coming in here and it's refining this problem statement for us. So it went ahead and refined the problem statement, and then it makes some assumptions in here for us, right? Coordinating protocols, leading to project delays, all those things you may or may not want to consider and put into that problem statement. Now, this is just a generic prompt, and you might say, yeah, this doesn't do what I needed to do. I needed to do something better. Well, let me show you. We're going to take this same prompt here. I'm going to take the same problem statement right here. And I wrote a prompt. And ChatGPT, it's really easy to write these prompts. You don't have access to these prompts. But I wrote a specific prompt, and the prompt is over a page long, believe it or not. And you're going to see the difference in the results, right? So once you learn how to use this, you're going to be able to see the difference. Now watch what it's going to do. Now, look at this. It's given us a detailed analysis, right? What are the strengths of that problem statement? What are the weaknesses? It does not define full assessment or product coordination, which leaves room for interpretation. That's awesome, right? We want to be smart, right? We want to be as specific as possible. Objectivity, right? We want it to be objective. It remains objective, right? You'll see problem statements often, right, from the people that aren't critical thinkers or complex problem solvers that want to lead you a certain direction. They have a pet solution that they want you to lead you down that direction and anchor and use. Relevance, the problem directly impacts process quality and project success, making it relevant. Here are some of the other weaknesses. Exclusions of solutions, right? I want to make sure there's no solution in here, right? So I can have someone, I can send them, hey, Dan, I want you to help me out with this project. I say, you know what? Drop your problem statement into this Google form. Bam, goes into my app, and it automatically creates a list of questions for me to ask. Avoid jargon. The inclusion of cause and effect considerations. Some people like to have a cause and effect in there. Since this is happening, I know the end result is this. For me, that's a leap of faith too far, right? We're going to figure it out. If we have a problem, we'll figure out all the possible effects of that problem. And then here, of course, it made a recommendation for a new problem statement that we may or may not consider. We have to use a little organic override there, which is, thinking about it. And then it has some rationale for changes. So you can't tell me that ChatGPT isn't a helpful tool. It's only as helpful as you are, right? It can do a lot of great things, but the clearer you are, the better off you're going to be using this ChatGPT, right? So I think we all agree that this is great, right? We can use this going forward if we know how to use it and if we take the time to write a good prompt. Now, today's session, so that takes care of that. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop it in the chat window. I'll be glad to address those for you. But this you have to admit, this is really cool, right? And remember, at the end, I'm going to show you how to do this, how to do something similar and using Google Sheets. And I'm going to show you this really cool strategy bot. If you're a consultant, you're going to want to hang around. That strategy bot is to die for. So here's what I wanted to do. I wanted to also talk about right now, we have this situation where, what if we're already closed in on a solution? So you'll see problem statements that infer a cause and infer a solution. But that's not the best way to go, right? So we can take a problem statement and use ChatGPT to brainstorm for us, right? So we can just say, hey, here's a problem, brainstorm a bunch of potential causes, and we can go from there. Or if we're great thinkers, right, if we're better thinkers, we might have our favorite tool, like a fishbone diagram, right? The fishbone diagram, the traditional one, has basically 6 categories, right? Man, method, materials, measures, machine, and mother nature, right? It gives us a broader perspective, right? I know I did a lot of work in government problem solving, and always the root cause is we need more money, more people, more training, right? They couldn't think outside of the box there, right? So I'm not sure if you've done any work in government, but that's always the problem, right? So they know that for a fact, it seems like. So here's what we're going to do. Let's say we want to do we have all this terrible news, right? This CEO. I love healthcare, and we know that the CEO of a company was just killed. Supposedly, they were denying claims, right? So let's do this. Let's create a fishbone diagram of potential causes for an increase in denied healthcare claims for a healthcare insurer, right? So we want ChatGPT. We can just say brainstorm. Let's do this. I'm going to change this to brainstorm, not create a fishbone diagram. We're just going to brainstorm right now. Let's say we don't have good problem solving skills. All we know is we're going to brainstorm, right? We're not familiar with the tools. So we're going to say brainstorm potential causes, right? So here we go. We're brainstorming, and ChatGPT is going out and saying, great, administrative causes, incomplete or incomplete documentation. Eligibility issues, patients are not eligible for coverage at the time. Policy limitations, right? Services rendered excluded the coverage plan or exceeded their lifetime maximum benefit. Timely filing of issues, right? So right here, this is great stuff, right? It's getting us to think outside the box. Provider related causes, right? Out of network, non-compliance with guidelines, inadequate documentation, upcoding, downcoding, right? God forbid we do upcoding, right? Patient related issues, failure to provide necessary information, unmet deductibles, coordination of benefits, who's the secondary, right? And the primary, non-covered services, system-wide issues. So here you go. ChatGPT gave us a bunch of great potential causes for that problem that we had at hand. Now let's do something slightly differently. Let's give it some structure, right? ChatGPT knows what a fishbone diagram is. We want to be balanced. We want to cover the whole plethora of operations or a process. Now watch what ChatGPT is going to do for us. Now, mind you, it's already kind of been trained on my problem solving approaches and techniques. So again, it's going to offer slightly different solutions than you may have, right? If let's put it this way, if you're a sloppy thinker, you're going to get sloppy results, right? So it's analyzing the data. Now, what is it doing? It's going out and saying, what's a fishbone diagram? Oh, here's a fishbone diagram. Well, fishbone diagrams can have multiple bones or causes, right? A fishbone diagram is a tool that will help us think more holistically about the potential causes of a problem. The ChatGPT created a diagram for us, right? It created a diagram for us, but with the potential causes listed within each of those factors, right? So if I were to blow this up, it has external factors, patient related, administrative. So what it did, it looked at that previous prompt that we generated, and it just put it into that documentation. So that's pretty cool, right? So it gave us, and we can say, give us more causes, or we could have picked up one of the bones, one of the failures, and gone into more detail and say, do a fishbone diagram on this one. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share with you, I'm going to show you, I have, of course, similar to my problem statement prompt, I have a fishbone diagram creator, right? So what this is doing, and it's not going, hopefully it doesn't create the image. I coded it not to. ChatGPT's been getting smarter. But I'm going to put that same problem statement in here. I'm just going to say increase. Let me get that. Let me get that. I'm going to bring that in here, that prompt statement. I'm going to and I'm just going to put it into my prompt. Now, this is called the GPT. All of you who have a paid subscription to ChatGPT, which I hope you're investing in yourselves, because if you don't do this, you're gonna have a tough career ahead of you. So we're gonna have this run and watch what it does for us. I'm gonna put it in here. I coded this on the back end. It's creating code here for us. Watch what it's doing. It's generating the prompt. It's still going. You see how it's using the traditional bones. Watch what it's doing. It's going still. It's generating on Mother Nature's the environment here. Now I'm just going to say display this as a report. Display this as a report. Display this as a report. And you're going to see there's much more detail. As a report. As a report. Right? And then here it goes. It's going to, look at that. It's doing a report for us. And it's using the traditional fishbone categories that we've seen in our basic fishbone diagram analysis. So if we knew nothing, or we knew very little, or if we were honed in on a particular possible cause or possible solution, this at least is helping us open our aperture and think more broadly, right? So it's using the traditional bones: man, method, materials, right? Machines, measures, the Mother Nature, which is the environment, and then it has some conclusions and next steps, some things that we might want to do to address that. So you can see that by learning how to code it a little better, it does a lot for us, right? So I really think this is a really cool thing to do. Now, we could print this out and share it with our team, and then we might do some sort of way of narrowing it down. We might do some multi-voting to think about what are the actual root causes, right? And we might say, you know what? Let's say missing or incomplete documentation, right? So we might grab this one here. I'm going to grab missing or incomplete documentation. I'm going to say, hey, we really think there's a lot of data to support this. So how can we get moving quickly? I'm just going to drop it right into here, right? Create a fishbone diet, create a fishbone specific, right? And it's going to use my coding, fishbone diagram for, and what it's going to do for us, it's going to do the same exact thing. It's going to go through, and here it is. It's just looking specifically at this as a potential cause. And now it's saying missing or incomplete documentation from providers is a problem. It's using that as our problem statement. And now it's looking at the sub-bones here. It's saying, providers, staff lack proper training on documentation requires, high turnover among the staff, miscommunication between providers and insurers about required documentation, right? So all these are other potential causes. And again, it's thinking more broadly, right? People are going to hone in. If you're dealing with government people, you need more people, more money, more training, right? It gets us out of that mindset and opening up our aperture or our ability to look at an entire system. So this is how you can see we can go into more and more detail, right? And here we can create a visual diagram of a fishbone diagram. I don't want to do that right now. We're not going to bother doing that. But there's other tools out here where we can just take this right here. I can copy and paste this and put it into an app, and it will make the fishbone diagram for me easily, right? It's another AI app. So it takes the pain out of creating these reports. Now, out of this type of analysis. And of course, we would check it out with our teams. You have to admit, this is freaking really, really cool. So I just wanted to demonstrate how we can use that fishbone diagram to help us brainstorm potential causes, especially if our the people we're dealing with aren't good problem solvers. They're poor critical thinkers, right? Because they're going to be leaning towards a solution, leaning towards a cause, right? How many times has someone come to you? Oh, I know what the problem is right away. Oh, I know what the cause is, when you haven't clearly defined the problem, right? That drives me freaking bananas, right? So that's how we can actually start using this. I'm going to flip back. Let me do one more thing here. And I'm going to type in here, be outrageous. Be outrageous in your thinking, right? And it's going to generate, be outrageous in your thinking, generate some crazy off the wall potential causes. Crazy off the wall potential causes. And bam, it's going off. It's now it's going bananas, right? Providers are distracted by TikTok dance challenges. That sounds like me. I love TikTok. Physicians refuse to use documentation tools, claiming they only write on papyrus, right? Provider staff are secret rebels against electronic medical records. That's probably not far from the truth. That's probably not too outrageous. But you can see how it went through. Providers are using medieval scrolls as templates instead of updated forms. But sometimes this craziness will bring something else to highlight, right? So sometimes you might want to give me something totally outrageous, right? When we brainstorm, sometimes those outrageous tongue-in-cheek or comments that people think are just, they're making for the heck of it, might inform us to a better potential cause that we might have to evaluate. So that's essentially how you can go through, and with a little prompt engineering, and I think especially in the consulting world, where we have lots of data and we're expected to know lots of things, this ChatGPT is like having an expert over your shoulder, but it's only as good as you knowing how to use it. Okay, so that's what I wanted to share with you. Now, I promised you an additional thing. Within Google Sheets, there's AI built into it, and I'm sure Excel is going to have it soon, right? I've just been using Google Sheets for a lot of stuff. It's just easier for me. So I have several apps within Google Sheets that have AI functionality built into them. And what we can do is, for instance, if we wanted to know some descriptive statistics about a data, everyone knows there's an Excel add-in that you can use for descriptive statistics. Right? Get that Excel add-in, make sure it's on, grab your data, turn on the Excel add-in, the descriptive functions, and bam, you're going to get your results, right? Google Sheets has something similar, but let's do this. I'm going to share. I'm going to stop sharing that, and I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to share a Google Sheets that I already have set up, right? I think you'll find this really cool. Let me share a different screen with you. I'm going to open up this Google Sheet here, and I want you to see right here, we'll continue with our healthcare theme, right? Here we have ER wait times in hours, right? So we've it can be time, but just for our sake, let's say we have our ER wait times in hours, right? And we're doing a project, and we're data driven now, right? I know a lot of people say we're data driven and they just look at a graph, but we want to know some descriptive statistics about the data, right? So do we have to have a software package like Minitab? No, but we can, and we know that Excel can do it and other apps can do it, but we can also write within Google Sheets using an Excel, not an Excel add-in, but using add-ins, we can write some code, right? And that code will help generate the response that we're looking for. So here, I'm using this AI function. Unless you have purchased ChatGPT or another large language model, and you have an API, you have a key for it, and you have a special add-in for your Google Sheets, this isn't going to work for you. But I'm sure all of you know this is the way of the future. You're not, and you should invest in this. If your employer is not investing in you, they're getting rid of you, right? So these are the tools that you need to move forward. So here I wrote a simple prompt, right? Equals AI. It has special AI function built into it. Calculate and only display the means, blah, blah, blah. These are the basic statistics. The mean, standard error, median mode, standard deviation, sample variance, kurtosis, skewness, range, minimum, maximum, sum, and count of this data range, right? So that's my prompt. That's a reusable prompt. You hit return, and the prompt has already run, but here is what the prompt actually returns for us. So the prompt will return the data for us. Now, I could have asked it to do much more for us, and it would have done much more, right? I can have it create a report. I could have it do other things similar to that. But you can see that now with this natural language processing that Chat GPT and the other large language models are using or are capable of using, it is really going to help us become, faster problem solvers, improve our wait times, our wait times, if you will, right? Or I mean, our productivity, if you will. So we can improve our productivity. Now, we can do the same thing in Chat GPT. I wrote an exhaustive prompt in Chat GPT where I can ask it to, similar to what I just did in the fishbone diagram, I can ask it to analyze the data set, calculate, interpret it, and write a summary report. And it will write a summary report of that same data. So what I'm going to do is, excuse me, folks, I'm going to switch back over to ChatGPT, and I'm going to show you the outcome of a prompt that I wrote to do this basic statistical analysis. I didn't want it to run a long time, so I ran it in advance. And let me go back and share that screen. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to go back and share ChatGPT with you. And you can't tell me this isn't cool stuff. So what I did is I took that ER wait time. You see, we have all that same ER wait time. And I wrote a prompt that says, analyze it, give me everything that we just saw, the mean, median, mode, and average. And then I said, give it to me in a report format. So here's what it did, right? Again, knowing how to write the prompt so you get the response you're looking for. And these are reusable. Think about it. We love stuff that's repeatable and reproducible. If I were to give you this prompt, you would get the same outcome. So it gives me my summary statistics, right? Oh, that's beautiful, right? We can copy and paste this. We can drop it into a report. Look at that. And then it gave us some other stuff. And then here, we can actually come in here and view the actual analysis that was done in the backlog. And I can say in here, now that I've completed, I say, write a summary report about the results. So I can have it go out and write a summary report, and bam, it's going to go out and write a report, right? And then we can copy and paste those reports. And then we could also ask it, some specific questions. It tested the normality, right? And it gave us the critical values. So it does a really good job for us. I hope you think this is a good job on writing these problem statements, if you will. So that was an additional, I just wanted to throw that in there, is analyzing data with ChatGPT. We can create graphs as well, and using the AI models within Google Sheets. You can do all sorts of stuff within Google Sheets. You can scrape websites. You create all sorts of automations. Maybe I can do one of these in the future where I can show you how you can have triggered events within Google Sheets using some AI and some very inexpensive automation tools to generate reports. Remember, I have this thing about project managers. I think that's a non-value added role. And whenever you have like a spreadsheet or a diagram or things with scheduled dates, you can have it every Thursday, send out an email on the status of these reports. If the report, when the statuses come back, the AI can look at it and say, why are these late? And it can do problem solving. It can schedule meetings and do all sorts of great stuff for you, right? So you don't have to have a whole project management office within an organization. Now, I did say I would share one more thing for you here at the end, and this is super cool. So I was an actual, everyone says they're strategic thinkers and strategic and strategists and stuff like that, right? Well, not the case, right? If I were to ask you several questions, or I gave you several questions to ask those strategists, they'd fail miserably, right? But what I'm going to do is I actually been working. This prompt is 2 years in the working, and it gets better and better and better. The only thing preventing this prompt from being more detailed are the current limits within the token models, right? We don't want this thing to hallucinate, right? But so if we keep it in check, it'll be all right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you a strategy bot, and let's say we're interested. We want to assess an industry. This is super cool. So if you're selling consulting services to an organization and you're not doing something like this, you're going to get crushed because these tools are easy to use. So let's say we're selling outsourcing, claims, healthcare claims processing. We're an outsourced agency here in the United States, and we want to understand really what the market, do like a market assessment and a segmentation analysis, right? All of you, I know, I'm a strategist, I'm a strategic, yeah. Watch what we're going to do here, and this output, it's going to take a little bit of time to generate, but hang around. I think it's worth it. I wrote a bot, and in this bot, all I have to do is say, analyze my business and industry in a geographic location, and then hit run. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to paste that into this bot. Analyze the outsourced health claims processing industry in the United States, right? So if you're selling this, send me an email. You're going to want to see what this output looks like. Now, I've moved this into a new tool, which isn't as powerful as some of the other tools I've used in the past, but it still generates an incredible output. And here we go. This is a summary, and as in all the other large language models, we can ask it more questions and it can get more specific. So look at it. It's rocking. It's still going. It's looking at the industry. It's analyzing, going back out there. And look at this. It generated so much data that ChatGPT stalled. So when that happens, I know you know this, right? Because all of you have invested in one of these models. If you hit continue, it's going to continue that prompt, right? So here it is, off to the races. It's still going. It's continuing this prompt, right? So in this prompt, it does a pestle analysis. So, right, you're a strategic thinker. When was the last time you did a pestle analysis for your client? It does a Porter's 5 forces model, right? Be nice to know that when you're talking to your client, right? It does a SWOT analysis. It does scenario planning, right? You're a strategic thinker, right? So you know what scenario planning is, right? And it's still not done, right? I got to hit continue to go. Look at all the output it generates. I'm using a newer large language model, which I can't share with you because I'm a beta tester for it. But it will generate even more output. I don't have to worry about it stalling like it has here. But this will generate literally probably a 25-page assessment of the industry. So what I'm going to do, so let me just go back here. I'm going to go to the very tippy top here, and you can see what it did here, right? So it analyzed this industry. It did a psychographics analysis. Now, I wrote a separate prompt that does a psychographic analysis for a product or service that is scary, right? So it tells you by, the industry, the tech, what providers there are by product type, end users, who the end users are and what they're looking for. And remember, we can ask it more questions by geographic location, what's going on with these healthcare institutions. It gives us some psychographics about the people who are buying this and using this software, right? So this is a little bit about getting in their head. It does a pestle analysis, understanding of the industry. And note how I have this in the proper sequence so it builds upon one another, right? So and I'm sure all of you do this, right? You're all strategists. So here it does a pestle analysis, and it talks about the factors that are affecting healthcare industry right now. And again, each one of these we can go into more detail, right? And then it does an assessment of that industry. And then it does the Porter's 5 forces analysis, right? When was the last time all you strategists did a 5 forces analysis, right? So it's talking about the industry and the 5 forces, right? The threat of new entrants, the bargaining power of buyers, the bargaining power of suppliers in the industry, the threat of substitute products, and industry rivalry. And then it gives us a nice little summary. And then I said, give me a SWOT analysis of this. So then it does that SWOT analysis, right? The strengths and the weaknesses of this industry. Scenario planning, right? So in this scenario, no pun intended, what I've done here is I just do a 10-year look ahead. I know scenario planning is a 20-year look ahead, but I've limited to a 10-year look ahead, because let's face it, many organizations, don't have the longevity. In a handful of years, you're going to change directions or change products. So it does that. And here it does a GE McKinsey matrix. Really cool. When was the last time you did one of these, right? And then it does a blue ocean strategy, right? That was a buzzword for a long time. That was driving me crazy. Everybody was using blue. I'm a strategist. I knew this blue ocean strategy, right? Well, we've done all the legwork up to now. We've done this progressive analysis that's building upon one another. So then it does the blue ocean strategy and assessment here, the 4 actions framework, the 3 tiers of a customer, right? The 6 paths of a framework, how to look at the 6 paths and makes recommendations. And it creates 3 bold strategies. I programmed that in here. Create 3 freaking crazy strategies to pursue. And then it does a Porter's generic strategies analysis, right? Remember, Michael Porter, not only did he develop the Porter model, the 5 forces, but he was also developed these generic strategies, right? Where we have cost leadership, differentiation, and focus, right? That's that innovation, if you will, right? And it gives us some ideas about that. A VUCA analysis, right? VUCA was a buzzword about 12 years ago. Everybody was talking about VUCA as if they knew what the hell it meant. So what I did here is I programmed the VUCA assessment into here, and I said identify volatility within the market, identify some uncertainty, complexity, and of course, some ambiguity. It does a delta model analysis, right? Delta model analysis, of course, very similar to Porter's differentiation model. We had best product, total customer solutions, and then, of course, we have system lock-in, where you're locked into the ecosphere, so different strategies about how to get there, and does an attractive. And then, of course, I have it write a nice report, right? So it wrote a nice report about what's going on in the future, industry trends, and so on. So this is some of the, and it cut off again, right? So now it's studying competitors. It developed a lean canvas for us, right? So that, come on. I forgot that I coded that in there, right? So I'm always already thinking about implementation and stuff like that. Summary and recommendation and some next steps. So it gives you some next steps. And I think I still have in here, it's not quite done yet. It's there's more to do. I'm not going to go into it. I also have it analyze horizontal and vertical industries that are closely associated with this. It might be nice to know those things. So you got more than what you asked for here, folks. I hope you find this useful. I don't think there's any questions. I only have I can't see all the all the chats in there, but what we've covered, we did a review of the problem statement and how to write a fantastic prompt, right? So that you can understand a good problem statement. I showed you how to brainstorm and create a fishbone diagram and how you can create a progressive fishbone diagram, right? It's just brainstorming. It's just getting our imaginations going. Of course, we have a team with us and other workers, but it's a good starting point, if you will. I showed you how to use AI and within a Google Sheet to do data analysis and descriptive statistics. There's a lot you can do in there. I can do hypothesis testing and reporting in there. I have all these prompts written how to do it, and I showed you how to do it in ChatGPT, right? And there's some great other models out there. I'm a beta tester for a lot of different models. And then I showed you the strategy bot, right? My strategy bot, as a consultant, if I'm going out and bidding on work and you're going against me, good luck, right? I mean, I've done a really thorough market analysis in there, and then I can even focus it in on your company. And then when I'm done, I can take the company that I'm consulting to or hoping to consult to, upload their strategy and have it analyze that strategy against the market that I just did. So if you found this useful, folks, come on, give me a hand here. The kids need new shoes. Like it, share it, comment on it, send me or email or comment somewhere what you want to see next. I'm working on some crazy AI tools and agents that aren't even in the marketplace yet. The ability to automate things, automate project management using AI and other, we can go on and on, right? I can just go through the whole Lean Six Sigma DMAIC phase showing you how to use these tools. So, hey, please, be generous, right? And share this and comment and like it and be in touch, right? I'll do more of these if you have any specific use cases you're interested in. We can get together and do that. I have Lean Six Sigma training coming up in January, building in all AI. You're going to get an AI workbook and prompts to use. You're not going to get all my prompts. The very, some of my prompts are a page and a half long, but you're going to get some fantastic prompts to get you up and going. And maybe I'll talk about chat bots. Chat bots. If you don't have a chat bot for your business or your own personal industry or something like that, you are crazy. I have a chat bot I created that it looks at my chat bot, all the data in there first before it goes out to the AI. And it has all my strategic planning, training, and notes in there, all my business process management, training, and notes in there, all my Lean Six Sigma training and notes in there. And it's actually better than me. When you ask the bot a question about a specific tool, it generates the most incredible response, right? So these chat bots are going to be the way of the future, and they can be automated and used for other things, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you real quick one of my chat bots. So I'm going to go into that chat bot. You're going to love this, folks. Let me go into a different screen here. Hold on to your socks or get new ones because I'm about to blow them off here, right? So I have this chat bot here. You can see it in this lower right-hand side. It's always available to me. And I can say, what are the steps to create a fish? What are the steps involved in creating a fishbone diagram? to create a fishbone diagram. To create a fishbone diagram. So all my notes are in here. If I ever have to go back, bam, I hit that bot. It's going out. Remember, I have over 0.5 gigabyte of my own personal data, right? Now I can take this. If someone asks me a question, I can just copy and paste this, and it gave me all the steps required. And then I can go into more and more details of that. And I have bots set up for all sorts of different things, right? Anything that I have like a personal knowledge or interest in, I have that chat bot set up for. So that's it, folks. We covered a lot of content here. We covered using AI for problem statement analysis and generating better problem statements. We covered how to brainstorm and use ChatGPT to create a fishbone diagram, right? Fishbone diagrams are great to help us think more broadly about potential issues that might actually exist within a process. We did that, right? Let me see. We covered how to use AI within a Google Sheet to analyze data using regular language or semantic language. And then I showed you the strategy bot. That's my baby, right? That strategy bot is gold. So I'll continue doing more of these. Again, please like, share. What are the steps required to develop a chat bot? Oh, the chat bot's really easy to set up. The software is inexpensive to purchase. I actually have a license to create chat bots. I can create as many chat bots as I want and set those up and put them on any site. So you can create a chat bot, host it for you, and then upload your data and then train it. So all the chat bots actually work the same in where once you purchase the license for it, what you do is you upload your data, and then of course who can have access to it and share it, how many times you can access it. So that strategy GPT that I just showed you that I wrote, that's a chat bot actually. And then I just showed you my personal Lean Six Sigma chat bot, just strategy chat bot. Really easy to do as long as you have good documentation and a lot. And here's what you're looking for in a strat. You know what? I will cover this in another session and talk about. I can show you some of the software apps that I use to create chat bots, how to set those up, how to train it, how to restrict it. Right? I know people get all freaked out about the data, but if you have employees, they've shared all your data with you already or with the world already. I can find it on the dark web. So is that a deal, my friend? Someone asked about that. I'll do another, maybe I'll do something on Monday, right? I'll schedule and do another session on chatbots and the benefit of it and having your clients do it. Just think what it's going to do for call centers, right? It's going to be fantastic because you can train chatbots on URLs, and it can go back and get updated. You can train it on documents. If those documents are getting updated, it's getting updated. So really fantastic stuff. So folks, I'm going to leave you there. Please like, share, comment, right? The chat bots are a fantastic thing. I think we need to embrace them. And if there's another particular topic that you're interested in and seeing how AI is used for it, or I have lots of large language models, lots of AI apps. I probably have something that'll cover it for you. I'm going to start talking a lot about AI automations, right, and agents. I have a software that'll develop an agent that runs in the cloud at a certain event. It can go out and grab data. It can put it into a Google Sheet, trigger other events. So, and you'll see how to automate a lot of your work. So with that, folks, I'm going to be heading out, and have a great weekend. And maybe I'll do a chatbot thing on Monday. Take care, folks. Have a great one. Thanks for participating. Please like, share, comment. The kids need new shoes. Ciao.